Before we go into the King's Gambit accepted, King's Bishop's Gambit lines, I should probably, by the way, mention here another line which is called the Fischer defense in King's Gambit accepted, King's Knight's Gambit lines. So it goes like this: e4, e5, f4, e takes f4, and then knight f3. This is King's Knight's Gambit, and d6 is the line that Fischer came up with. As history would have it, he lost a game against Boris Spassky and left in tears, and after vigorous research he came up with this line, and his article was published in one of the chess magazines in which he said that King's Gambit loses by force. And this is supposed to be a high-class waiting move for black, to quote Bobby Fischer. And a standard reply is d4, after which black can reply with knight f6 or even g5. And this is a pretty playable variation for black. I haven't played many games in this variation, and I don't particularly like it because of the move d6. I think it loses tempo, but as Fischer said, it is a high-class waiting move, and so there are some very fine ideas behind this line. And if you want to, you can explore it. There is lots of material on this line on the internet, and there are a couple of games analyzed by some YouTubers. You can look at those if you want. Now the line we're looking at is after 2 f4, e takes f4, instead of 3 knight f3, 3 bishop c4. Now if instead of bringing this knight from the g1 square to f3 square, white chooses to bring this bishop out to c4. This is then called King's Bishop's Gambit. And the reply that we're going to look at to bishop c4 is called the Chigorin's attack, which is to bring the queen out to h4 square with a check. Now, if white goes g3, then f can take g3, and if h takes g3, then of course this rook is lost. And if knight goes to f3, hitting the queen, as you can see here, then queen takes e4 check, and if queen e2, then queen takes e2 check, king takes e2, g takes h2, and rook takes h2, and bishop d6, hitting this rook with the tempi on h2. So this obviously would be a bad move for white, and it is not recommended for white to play g3 at all. Instead, king f1 is the standard move. So queen h4 check, king f1, and then d5. The idea behind d5 is to make white take this this pawn here on d5, because black wants to free his bishop, which currently rests on ch square. And the idea here is to not to lose the initiative, to not lose tempo. And so d5 is a sacrifice of a pawn by black to gain some momentum. So bishop takes g5, bishop takes d5, sorry, and now g5. Again, the idea that we saw in Quad's Gambit, and g3. These are standard lines for Chigorin's attack. The idea behind g3 now is that if f takes g3, then knight f3 hitting the queen, and queen f4, because now this pawn on e4 cannot be taken because of this bishop on d5. And from here, well, if you ask me, I think both sides have equal chances almost. If we look at black, I think black is slightly worse because all his pieces are on the home rank. Rooks are locked in, both knights are resting on their 8th rank home squares. So are the bishops. King is still in the middle. Whereas white has this knight developed here on f3. And also a point to note here is that the white king currently is on f1 square instead of its home square, which is e1, so white's king can no more castle. And there are all sorts of possibilities here, all sorts of attacks that can come into play. For example, black can bring his bishop out to either b4 or b5, hitting the g1 square, so the king cannot move towards it. And then this bishop here can come in and pin the queen. And so black can rapidly develop his pieces. White at the same time has many possibilities as well. This knight can come up to the c3 square, and at the same time this bishop is hitting the f7 pawn, which is the weakest link in black's position. And somehow when this queen can come to the h5 square, this can create quite a serious threat for black. So I think there are many possibilities for each of the sides in Chigorin's attack lines, and it's a good line for black. If you're a good chess player, you can experiment with this line without the worries of any extraordinarily weak points, weak squares, or weak points in your position. So yeah, this is pretty much King's Gambit accepted. From the next lecture, from the next video, we're gonna start looking at King's Gambit declined, and Falk-Spear's counter gambit is the most favorite line against King's Gambit declined. So we're going to take a look at that. Thank you for watching the videos again. And do experiment with all these lines, with all these possibilities. If you play a lot from with black pieces, and see how it goes.